Welcome back, everybody. This is nice music because we're about to talk about big stress, so try to de-stress. It is estimated that 34% of Americans spend 30 minutes or more in the car driving to and from work, and that comes to about, get this, 250 hours a year. And for some, driving in the car is a way to unwind after a long day. For others, it is something that triggers the worst in all of us. Commuter stress is not only frustrating, it can be dangerous. In her book, Alter Your Life, Overbooked, Overworked, Overwhelmed, author Dr. Kathleen explores commuter stress and offers solutions on de-stressing in the car. And Dr. Hall joins us this morning with her findings. And I was just admitting that I've felt a little road rage before.
Good
morning. And I probably shouldn't admit it, but good morning to you.
Thank you for admitting it, because if you don't admit it, then you're actually not telling the truth.
That's true. You've been in it where somebody cuts you off, and I don't remember what I did. Anyway. Let's talk about stress.
Stress in my book, which is about learning that everything we do in our life today is going to be about stress. Deborah, Debbie, it is literally the epidemic of the 21st century.
And you say that commuter stress in particular, it can be dangerous?
Absolutely, it can be dangerous. What it is it's almost a fight and flight reaction. And you can say things and do things that you didn't mean to do or weren't thinking about. So I said, would you go to the Athens Olympics without preparing for it or training for it? Would you go to the Boston Marathon without preparing for it? Absolutely not. We know, last week the study was released, that 3.7 billion hours a year in America are spent on commuting.
Wow.
In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we spend 30 minutes going to work, 30 minutes going home from work. That's an hour a day, 5 hours a week.
Right.
In an 8-hour day, you all in this area are spending 30 days, 1 month a year in your commute. So here's what you have to ask yourself. Since we know the commute is so stressful, do you want to proactively know that this is your time? For many of us who raised kids, have worked, that is your only time alone. So I say, instead of it having the effects of chronic stress, which I think we're going to talk about, and the negative things that it can do to you, for an example, your commute is actually the most dangerous hour of your life.
Wow.
It has more stress than a fighter pilot in battle.
Really?
Yes. And more stress than a police officer during training exercises. Riot police, as a matter of fact.
Well, let's go over some of the commuter stress facts. Scientists say commuters face more stress than fighter pilots.
Absolutely.
You said that. 1 in 12 heart attacks are linked to traffic. I was shocked.
Absolutely, directly related. We even think it's closer maybe to 1 in 6, but we know statistically it's 1 to 12. 1 in 12.
Traffic pollution reduces reproduction in young and middle-aged men.
Yes, we have great studies out of Europe right now that are showing infertility in males. Yes, directly related to traffic. And what it is, it's not just the stress, it's also the fumes that come from the exhaust systems that we don't think about, that we're sitting there in traffic smelling all of these poisons.
That's good to know, though, because a lot of people probably don't attribute it to that. And lastly, average cost of a 40-mile round-trip commutes to $5,620 a year?
Absolutely. And that cost, plus, we know that all of us that reach a certain age want to look younger, feel younger. Do you know, Debbie, that people that absolutely are chronically stressed on their commute, you can actually accelerate your aging 10 years.
Yeah.
So people, were wanting to get plastic surgery, take vitamins, and do all these other things. It literally, what it does, it shortens the telomeres at the end of your chromosomes. So when you're reproducing your wonderful DNA and everything, it actually gets shorter every single time it reproduces. So these are very serious effects.
Right, and this is, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area have all these suburbs.
Absolutely.
So people commuting back and forth. Those who have to make those long trips are going to look older, and that will be one of the reasons if they don't get a hold of this. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do to de-stress.
Absolutely. Well, what I like to think about it is a toolkit. For an example, if you were a plumber or you work, or those of us that travel with our big purses, it's kind of like carrying your toolkit. So here, you're going, we're not naive anymore, we're not stupid, we have hard research science that shows what chronic stress does. You know you're going to be in that car on the way back and forth to work. So why not turn it into positive stress instead of negative stress? And why not feel like you're in control? Because that's what negative stress is, Debbie. It makes you feel like you're out of control. That is your time. So let's talk about some things you can do during that time. You can create a classroom, meaning I've always wanted to take Spanish. It's a language that's growing in our country. I learned Spanish by popping in that. I have an hour-and-a-half commute to Atlanta back and forth from my office in the mountains.
So your lessons were taken then?
Well, and I actually lived in Atlanta and commuted to 104 World Trade Center. I had an office in the World Trade Center when I was a financial advisor in my first life. So I learned about commuting very firsthand.
So one of the tips then is just to pop in a tape of your favorite author?
We know that people that earn more income have a higher vocabulary. Get some vocabulary words in there. Learn 5 vocabulary words a day. Then go to work and do emails and learn them. We know another thing is singing. We know that when people sing, you get an immune boost of 240% in your immunoglobulin A. We know that people that laugh, throw in a Foxworthy tape or something, laugh for a couple minutes. We know that people that laugh, your artery diameter increases 22% when you're laughing. When you're chronically stressed, it decreases 35% in recent studies that we have. It is incredible.
And it's for someone who, they might not want a lot of noise. You said on there, take deep breaths, just
You can take deep breaths, but also even if you want to play classical music in the background, we know you get serotonin and endorphin boosts, which are healing hormones. I suggest people have triggers. I work with clients so that if you go by the same sign every day, or you go by the same stoplight, stop. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths and be grateful. It is impossible to be stressed and be grateful simultaneously.
At the same time.
Be grateful. I don't care if you were just fired, your child's sick, be grateful for at least one thing. It's impossible. And we also know grateful people have different chemicals released in their body.
Oh, sure.
We know that they can overcome unbelievable diseases and other things. Because of research, we know that people that are happy and optimistic have a different chemical makeup.
So that's time for all that positive self-therapy, self-help type tapes.
Absolutely.
That would work very well.
And a lot of people like myself, I had kids, had to race to work. That was my commute, was my only time alone. I used it as my chapel, too. I did a whole lot of praying there. I would do a lot of my guided imagery. I would do a lot of my gratitude practices. So when I walked into work, I had a staff of people. I had people's money in my hands that I was managing, a huge responsible job. That instead of coming in there with another list and short and pressured, I came in there abundant and full because I had blessed everybody, had been grateful. That 30 minutes filled me up so that I was overflowing when I walked in there, and I was confident. But it's only been recently, Debbie, in the last 5 years that we've had fMRIs, PET scans. We can now test. We just had a study where we tested a woman's cortisol by her saliva.
Wow.
And we can test to know how stressful these commutes are, clinically.
Well, doctor, this has been enlightening.
Good.
And you did not ever mention to get on the cell phone. So we all know to just throw those puppies out of there. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That was a great interview.
Thank you
Great
very much.
information.
And the book,
Love the book.
has tons more tips on easy ways to de-stress your life.
Okay, we're going to tell folks about it. For more advice on dealing with any type of stress, pick up a copy of Dr. Hall's book, Alter Your Life. Overbooked, overworked, overwhelmed? She has all the answers for you. It's available online or at your favorite bookstore. And if you want to meet Dr. Hall, she is just so positive. She will be signing copies of her book Wednesday at the Barnes & Noble on Preston Road in Dallas, beginning at 7 p.m. That's after the rush hour, Michael. She timed that perfectly.
I'm taking a moment. Hold on.
Take your deep breath.
Okay, I feel better. All right.